What's up, everybody? You are in day 5 of our 6-week challenge, and I hope that everybody is staying on track so far this week. Like I said in the last video, this first week is just getting an understanding of what you should be doing and then start building habits around that. I've had a few people text message me with questions, and of course, we're here to help, and that's the goal. So today I want to touch in on a little bit about nutrition secrets and what you should be doing and why on a regular basis, because nutrition is going to make or break everything that you do when it comes to working out, getting results, even longevity of life and overall, health. So it's important that nutrition becomes, a habit no matter if you're working out or not. I want you to work out, of course, but understand nutrition is what fuels our body and gives it the nutrients that it needs just to function every day. So the first thing I want to cover is consistency in our meals. It's going to be very, very important. And a lot of people that I meet with on a regular basis eat an average of 2 times per day, and typically we're looking at a lunch and dinner. All right, and a lot of people they start a program and think they have to totally reduce calories or even quit eating for periods of time, and that actually does the opposite of what we think it does. When we restrict our body of food, and it becomes a habit to do that, your body tends to go in starvation mode. So rather than burning through those calories, we're storing those calories. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. The goal is to be consistent with our nutrition. It's not let's eat less frequently, let's eat more frequently in moderation. So let's say I have a person here that's only eating twice a day at lunch and dinner. Now we know that every time that we consume food, our body has to break it down. 10% of our calories are burned through digestion. We call that the thermic effect of food. But unfortunately, we have these gaps in here. Okay? So whatever you're consuming at these meals, right, that's a huge gap. So whatever you're consuming at these meals, rather than utilizing it as energy, your body's storing it and holding on to it. Okay? So what do we need to do to change that? So we need to focus on getting in a good, healthy breakfast with no carbs. The last thing we want to do is start our day off with carbohydrates. And if you do carbohydrates, keep it between 15 grams or less. Do your measuring. But the whole goal is to increase insulin sensitivity. We do that by reducing our carbohydrate intake early on in the day. And then we're going to add some snacks in between. Okay, so not only are we consistently burning energy throughout the day, we're going to feel better. And we're going to have more energy in general throughout the day, a feeling of well-being, because our body is now getting more consistent with, consuming food. So remember, consistency is the key here. It's like your car. It has a gas tank, right? And in order for that car to always function, that gas tank needs to be full, or, it needs to have fuel in it. So imagine this, your stomach is your gas tank. And when your gas tank goes on empty, your body stops functioning the way it should. You're not going to have the energy you want. You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel tired. So it's important that we keep something in our gas tank. Okay, we never want to run out of fuel. Obviously, unless we're sleeping. All right. So remember that. Very, very important to understand that consistency in our meals is the goal here. So if you're taking in 1,500 calories, we divide that by, we'll say, an average of 5 meals per day, then we need 300 calories per meal. And we want to make sure that the 300 calories is coming from protein, boom, fist size, carbohydrates, cup size, and healthy fats. So again, you're just going to break that down per meal. Next, I do want to touch in a little bit on the macronutrients. Protein, carbs, and fats. Now this could vary a little bit more, on each individual needs, but for the sake of the challenge, what I'm going to get into is what the goal is for the challenge. We're going to increase our protein because most people don't get enough protein. We're sitting here, we're working down, we're putting stress on our body, we're breaking apart muscles. The only way to repair those muscles is through protein. Lean meats, Chicken, eggs, protein shakes, a good solid source of protein. And in most cases, we typically lower carbohydrates. When we typically become overweight, it's because of higher consumption of carbohydrates. And our body becomes insulin resistant. So not only is our body not utilizing insulin properly, when our body is breaking down carbohydrates, our glycogen stores are full, we're more likely to store carbohydrates as fat. So the whole purpose behind this challenge is to reduce carbohydrates around physical activity. Okay, that's the main thing right now, is so that we can reset our insulin levels. Okay, if our insulin isn't responding, we're gonna have a hard time losing weight. So we're gonna lower carbs. Our primary sources are fruits and veggies. And of course, produce in general, meaning if you can go over to the produce section, like your potatoes, sweet potatoes, any type of fruit and veggie, that's going to be your main focus. Of course, you can do rices as well. That's not over there, but you can do rice, potatoes, anything like that. But that's going to be your main source of carbohydrates. Keep it as fresh as possible with limited ingredients. And fats are going to come from avocados, nuts, fish oils. You have a list of fats that you can utilize and eat. Okay, now it's very important when we're doing a low carb diet, and I say low carb, in most cases could be anywhere from 50 grams or less, depending on the individual, could be 75 grams or less. But any low carb diet, we're going to take any carbs that we normally eat, and we're going to replace with fats. Okay? So let's say that normally your habits are getting up, eating a bowl of cereal, for breakfast. So instead of a bowl of cereal, we're going to eat eggs. We know have natural sources of fats, 3 to 4 eggs with some veggies. That's going to be the way you're going to start your day. And for lunch, let's say you normally have, a cup of rice. Okay, so we're going to remove that cup of rice. We're going to add that protein in. We're going to spike our fats up. And you can of course get a little bit of carbs, but again, what I'm trying to get you to understand is if you're removing carbs, we need to increase our fats. Your calorie count is at 1,400 for women and 1,800 for men. And no matter where your macronutrients are coming from, you always want to reach that calorie count. So like I said, let's say for instance, we're taking in 100 grams of carbs regularly. We're going to go down to 50 grams of carbs and add 25 grams of fats, okay? So again, there's a lot of science behind this, but just use your thumb and your hands to make sure you're getting enough macronutrients. All right? So very, very important when it comes to consistency in your foods and getting the right foods in. We want to limit processed foods. We want to limit, and when I say processed foods, we're talking about junk in a box that can sustain shelf life. Your produce is not going to be there forever. That same potato you saw today isn't going to be there next Sunday, compared to walking down the aisles, you see the same box foods all the time because they sustain longer shelf life because of all the ingredients they add to it. So reduce processed foods, reduce sugar, increase fruit and veggie intake, increase protein intake, and add your healthy fats into this meal plan, guys, and stay consistent with 4 to 5 meals per day. All right, so if you have any questions, reach out. Also, there's the food journal below, so you guys can start tracking your food intake. And like I said, utilize the Facebook group. Utilize our text messaging, guys. Ask questions. It's very, very important that you ask questions. Do not be shy. There is no such thing as a dumb question, okay? So be open and make sure you voice anything that you have concerns with or any questions you may have. So if y'all need anything, reach out, guys. Y'all have an awesome weekend. Next week, we're going to be covering supplementation, the importance of supplementation, the importance of cheat meals, because we're going to be utilizing a cheat meal next week, but I want you to understand why. So be on the lookout for some videos coming in next week. Y'all have an awesome weekend. Reach out if you need anything from me. We'll see you soon.